Hi, welcome to the 29th episode of the New England Gal Knits podcast. I am Janet and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram at the New England Gal. And just a quick disclaimer on the lighting because I have a feeling it is going to be quite bright. However, it is the exact opposite outside right now. It is pouring buckets in gray. It is also 4 o'clock and starting to get dark here. So I've been trying to play with the lights and this is the best I can do. It's either too dark or too bright, so hopefully this works out okay. So now that the disclaimer is done, welcome back to any returning viewers. Thank you so much, and also welcome to any new viewers. I really hope you enjoy the podcast, and for those of you that enjoy the podcast, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. And we have a lot of, I'm excited, there's going to be a lot of exciting and fun things coming up for this channel in the next year, and the first one being is we are hosting a year-long knit-along, and it is the Finish That Stuff knit-along. Now crocheting is more than welcome as well. I put knit-along just because I primarily knit. I like the way knit-along sounds, so that's what we're going with, but crocheting projects are more than welcome as well. And as far as the Finish That Stuff, if you want to substitute stuff with a 4-letter S word, be my guest. In my mind, when I look at, and I'm sitting in front of my fireplace where all the works in progress are piling up in baskets, I'm using that other word, but I just want to keep this a family-friendly show, so we're going to stay with stuff. If you want to share what you're working on Instagram, please use FTSCal hashtag so I can see what everybody is doing. And also on our Ravelry group, we have a chatter thread going as well as a finished objects thread. And the only real rule for this knit-along is that you have had to start the project at least the month prior. Just makes sense because it is finishing up our works in progress. It needs to be started at least the month before. If not, if all of you are like me and have things that were started many months before, it shouldn't be a problem. So that is it for the administrative things right now. Oh, before I forget to, the prize for January is going to be your choice of pattern from Ravelry, $7 or less. So finish those works in progress, get things on the needle so I can gift you a pattern so you can start another project. So that is it now for administrative things. And it's only been a week since I podcasted last, and I normally try and podcast every other week, but I have quite a bit to share with you this week, and among it I have 3 finished items, and I can't believe it. I don't know if it's the beginning of the new year and I really was motivated to get some things done. Although one of my finished objects, it was rather pathetic. I threw it in my whip pile about 2 months ago, and I only had the ribbing and a heel on one sock left to do. The other sock was completely finished. So as I was going through all my works in progress and figuring out what I really need to concentrate on, I found these and quickly finished them up. So here they are. So it is a pair of socks knit out of Retrosaria Mondim sock yarn, and here is the tag, and it is in her 207 color, and I love the way these came out. The contrasting heel is Lion Brand Sockies, just in the cream color. And I love, here we go, this base. It is, I don't want to say rustic, sturdy. Sturdy is the word because it's not scratchy at all, but you can tell it's definitely a sturdier yarn and will wear better than a merino base. So here it is in the ball. I still have quite a bit. Maybe I can wrestle out a pair of shorty socks if I do contrasting heel and toes with this. So this is my first finished object, and I'm very pleased with it, and I'm going to put them aside to bring with me or wear to New York because I'm going in a couple weeks with some girlfriends, and these will keep my toes nice and warm as we walk around the city underneath my boots. So very glad to get these off the needles and one bag out of my baskets full of works in progress. My second work in progress, if you've watched the podcast, you would have seen these before because I have done nothing but complain about them. But they're done now. So this will be the last time you hear me complain about them, and I am so happy to have them done. But they are my younger brother's socks. They are massive. Hold on. Here is my sock. Here is my brother's sock. Now I am 5'5". I have size 8 feet. Both my brothers are 6'4" and well over 200 pounds. So while these may be massive, they do fit. And I did in October bring them up to my twin brother's house. So my twin brother does knit as well, and he knits socks. So I brought these up and measured them against his, just the leg, to just make sure the width was okay, because as you can see, they're quite a bit wider than my socks, and these were slightly narrower than the socks that my twin brother knits. And you know what, socks are supposed to have negative E, so I'm not worried about that at all. So I am so glad to finally have these done. And for the last time, these are knit out of Knit Picks Felici in the Ice Cream Truck colorway. And I show you the label. However, as I mentioned the last time, my dog likes to chew on them, and I've used 4 balls of these, and the dog has managed to eat all 4 labels. I did not do a good enough job hiding them. So anyways, the foot and the leg were knit out of this, and again for the heel I use the Lion Brand Sockies cream color for the heel, and I have plans to use that for the heel as something else I'll talk about later on as well. So those are my 2 finished socks. The last finished object that I have to show you, I had talked about last week that going to New York with 2 girlfriends, and I was going to knit them hats, and I finished one of the hats. So this is the Cinder hat, and this is a pattern by Trysten Molina, and she is one half of the Girls in the Yarn Cafe podcast, and also the wonderful dyer, just outstanding, behind Dragon Hoard Yarns. And here it is. I am so pleased with the way this came out. So this is I'm not going to be able to talk at all again today. I talk too fast and I stumble over my words. But this is a knit out of Tuskenknits in her Cabin DK, which is an 80% merino, 10% nylon, and 10% cashmere base. And it is in her last Petal colorway, and here it is in the cake. And I love this color. I love the way it came out, and it is so soft. And I had mentioned before that my friend and I went to see the Beauty and the Beast together in the theater, and we're huge, huge Beauty and the Beast fans. So I just thought this was fitting for her. I would try it on for you guys, but I have makeup on and my hair up in a ponytail, so I don't want to put it on. I want to just go ahead and gift this to her. And it's been blocked and cleaned, and it smells like Tide Tuft Woolen, her espresso soap. It smells so good. So it's been all blocked and cleaned, and it is all dry, and I have to say all 3 finished objects actually have their ends woven in, which isn't always the case on my podcast. So I can't wait to gift this to her. And the other hat I haven't started yet. I'll talk a little bit about it, but I plan on giving it to them at the airport when we fly out to New York City. So our husbands for Christmas treated us to a trip flying to and from New York City, and I can't wait. It's a 45-minute flight. However, we fly out of Worcester, Massachusetts, so it's literally up in the air and then come straight back down. It's so much easier than the 3.5-hour car ride, or I think it's 4 hours by train. I know every time I took the train in college to Providence, Rhode Island from New York, it would take twice as long because there was always a delay right after New Haven where we would be sitting on the tracks for about an hour. I'm not a fan of taking the train because there was every single time I took the train, which was probably about 6 different times, there was always an hour stopped on the track somewhere. However, had I been knitting back in the day, I probably wouldn't have minded as much. Hindsight. So anyways, I do have a couple of works in progress. So first one I'm going to share is my sweater, and it is being housed in my wax canvas plaid Fringe Supply Company bag. And as always, I'm not going to say the name of the sweater. I will put it right here. It is by Fiber Tales is the designer, and Larka, I believe is how you say her name, and I apologize if I've said it wrong. She's an amazing pattern designer, and she has a podcast as well, and what she knits, it's so beautiful and it's inspiring, and her podcast is so relaxing and mellow. I really enjoy it. So anyways, here is what I have completed. I have yarn everywhere, I apologize. There we go. So here we go. And I have, so the body, it's supposed to be boxy and cropped. I've had 2 children. I'm not quite the cropped. I'm not the 20-year-old that would wear a cropped sweater these days. So I am going to, it called to knit 11 inches of the body. I'm going to go down to 13 inches for the body before I put in the ribbing. But as I mentioned last week, I have been thoroughly enjoying this. The yoke has bobbles, and then it has a pearl texture. Then it has a lateral braid with some, I think she calls them little leaf stitches, which looks like a vine and leaves, and I love it, to where you go to bobbles again, and then you go to another pearl pattern, and then you separate for the sleeves, and then it is just a straight on stockinette from there. So I have been working on this a lot while I have been watching TV, and I did put in a progress keeper. So where Mulan is, oh, and this is really cute. This is from my beloved Indora, I think was the name of the shop, and obviously I'll put it below as well as links to her shop. She makes the cutest progress keepers. But here is her Mulan one. So where Mulan is what I've gotten done, which doesn't look like a whole lot, but this is being knit out of fingering weight yarn. So for me, that's a lot of knitting that I've done. So I am knitting it out of a Brooklyn Tweeds in the Loft base in the Snowbound colorway. And I have been really enjoying knitting with it. And here is the tag. And it feels a little stiff right now, but, and I don't think I have the swatch. Oh, I do have the swatch. And I mentioned last week as well, when I swatched, I did block it, and it bloomed and it turned super soft. So I know once I get this finished and blocked, it is going to be really soft and cozy. I am only going to be knitting 3/4 length sleeves because, as you can see, I have a tendency, I pull up my sleeves. These are supposed to be super long, and unless I'm freezing cold, I never wear my sleeves straight down. I always pull them up. So I'm just going to do 3/4 length sleeves. So I should have this done for New York. I want to wear it the first day we're down there. So I'm going to be really concentrating on this as well as my other friend's hat. Although with that being said, I might have cast on another hat for me. As I'm complaining I need to finish up existing works in progress, I'm casting on new things. We all do it, and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I've said many times, and knitting is my outlet, so I am just going to enjoy what I'm working on and go from there. So my next work in progress is another languishing whip that I had from, I think the last time I worked on these pairs of socks was when we went to see the Avengers Infinity Wars. So I think that was last May, and I had finished one full sock. Now, I did complain when I finished this sock. I didn't start the second one. I was not liking the way the color came out. This is being knit out of Plymouth yarn waves. And it's a merino nylon. I think it's 75/25. Yep, 75/25 merino nylon. They're wave colorway. And someone had told me before I started it, so I knew going in that I wasn't getting two matching pairs of socks out of it. However, I think my biggest thing with it is I don't like the foot. I'm not crazy about this color green. I'm not even crazy about this color blue. However, so I had a friend text me, tonight I am going to see A Star is Born with a couple girlfriends, and I finished up my 2 vanilla socks that I'm working on, so I needed another pair of vanilla socks. So while I was going through all of my whips, came across this, and I'm like, you know what, at least get them done. And yeah, get them done. I will wear them once they're done, but I just wasn't motivated because I wasn't crazy about the color. But now that I've got more blues in it, and there's some pretty like periwinkle in here, and I don't think the color's going to show up great because of the lighting, but so this morning I cast on the toe, because I did work these toe up, but I cast on the toe and I've got it to where I have it on my circular needles. So this is all ready to go for when we go to the movies tonight. So that is one of the other things I've been working on, and hopefully I'll get these done before January is over as well, and then I'll be down 2 works in progress. There is another sweater. I want to hurry up and get this sweater done. I do have next Monday, the 14th of January off, so I'm hoping to get this week the majority of the sweater, get the body done and maybe 1 sleeve done, so this weekend I can concentrate on the other sleeve and block it so it's all ready. And I have another sweater I really want to put a bigger dent in this month as well. I don't think I'll finish it this month, but if I can put a big dent in it and then finish it up in February, I'll be very happy. But that is one of the socks that I'm currently working on. And now my last work in progress is being housed. Did I even say what I had this housed in? Because I love this bag. This is by My Needlecraft, and she has an Etsy store, and it's nice, almost like a linen material. And this is her 2 sock bag. So it has a cute little separator in the middle with a zipper pouch to hold stitch markers or whatever your heart desires, as well as these little snaps here to keep the yarn separated on either side. And this is what I'm planning to take with me to New York City. I'm planning on keeping all of my notions in the center here so that I don't have to worry about bringing a notions pouch and a separate project bag. I'm just going to take this bag with me. So go check her out. I have a couple of her bags and they're really well made and sturdy. And then going from two wonderful project bags, I've got the classy as always shopping bag, and it is actually kind of pretty. It's a shopping bag by Tivana, and in here is actually going to be housed two hat projects, but I've only cast on one so far. So I had showed in last week's podcast a hat I knit up to wear to New York, but then I came across, as I was kind of cleaning out things in my basket, some leftover yarn from my Tegna sweater, and this is Madelinetosh DK Twist in her Good Silence colorway, and here is the label. It's kind of been well abused because it has been in my Tecumseh sweater. Did I say Tegna? It's in my Tecumseh sweater. It has been in a hat that I knit for my sister-in-law for Christmas, and I am now knitting a hat for myself as well. So I have, the pattern calls for 100 grams of DK weight. I have 93 left, so I am in two separate balls. I'm hoping I have enough, and I figure I'll make it. It won't be maybe as slouchy as it is in the picture, but it's B to the 3 by the Unapologetic Knitter is the pattern I am using, and I haven't gotten very far at all. It is a brioche, one color brioche hat, and you know what, I wanted this. It's going to be super soft and squishy, and it is going to be so warm to walk around New York City. And I was also craving brioche. I haven't knit brioche in a while, and I find it so fun. It is very almost meditative and rhythmic, and I find it very relaxing. The one color brioche, you need a little less concentration on it than the two color, and I'm enjoying it. I haven't gotten very far. I only started it a half an hour ago, but I am loving it, and I'm hoping it will knit up quickly. With that being said, because this is for me, and I still have, I had mentioned last week, I am knitting another quill hat by Andrea Mowry for my other friend that I'm going to New York with, and I am knitting it out of Cumbria, the fiber companies in the Cumbria base in the Dirt Wet Water colorway, and I think I have, here's the tag right here. It's upside down. Way to go, Janet. And I've mentioned this before 100 times. I want to say hands down, this is my absolute favorite yarn to work with. It is a wool mohair blend. It is going to be super warm. I cannot say enough about this yarn, and as I mentioned last week, and I will probably be showing you of what I've ordered next week when it finally comes in, but I have ordered a couple pom-poms by Fabunits. She does beautiful faux fur pom-poms. They're gorgeous. I had in a few podcasts back a rainbow pom-pom on my niece's hat that I knit her for Christmas, and my niece loved it. My brother thought it was fabulous. He's like, I absolutely love the pom-pom. It makes the hat. So I'm going to put a faux pom-pom on this hat. Now I do have a plan because I can't just keep selfish knitting because this needs to be done in 2 weeks, which is plenty of time. But so this hat, the rim of it, I want to say ribbing, but there is, technically it's all ribbing, brioche ribbing, but the band of it is knit on size 4s. Then it goes to a size 6, which I have already in my bag here, my size 6 needles. The ribbing on this hat is knit in size 6, and then you go up to a size 8. The ribbing on this hat is 1x1. I hate 1x1 ribbing. I find it very tedious. I love 2x2 ribbing. I love brioche. I just do not like 1x1 ribbing. And it's not that I hate it, I just find it tedious. It's a slog, it goes so slow. So my thing is I am going to be casting this on tomorrow to get through the ribbing, because I can't work on the body of this hat until the ribbing is at least done on this hat, and then once the ribbing's done, the hat's gonna fly off the needles for this. In my mind, that makes sense. I'm hoping that made sense to you. Sometimes things that go on in here don't make sense to other people out in the world. So the quill hat will be cast on tomorrow, so you'll see it next week. Hopefully it'll be done next week. We will see. There is another thing that I plan on casting on that I wanted to share with you guys. So I am planning on casting on a pair of vanilla socks as well, because, you know, I'm not hosting a knit along about finishing up your current works in progress. But I need a vanilla sock for when we go to New York City. So I am going to cast on, this is Stray Cat's yarn in her mod colorway, and this is her merino cashmere base. I love this yarn. I had purchased this in another one 2 years ago now, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. So I am going to do these from the cuff down on my 9-inch circular needles, and I am going to do a Fish Lips Kiss heel with my Lion brand sockies. I am just going to probably wind off about 20 grams, just enough to get through the heels on these. I plan on getting a lot of knitting done in New York. I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen. I'm not sure how that's going to happen. I always plan big, and I'm probably going to come back and show you guys this much of one sock, but I want to get the ribbing on the needles already. I pulled out, I have 2 9-inch bamboo circular needles here. I have, these are Haya and these are Chow-Gu. If I have to fly, these are the needles I use only because I've never had needles taken away. I've never known anyone to get needles taken away. According to the TSA, they're allowed, but there's that constant fear if I take one of my good needles, they're going to take them away from me because I'm not checking any bags. I'm only doing a carry-on, so I want the ribbing already on the needle so there's no question to a TSA agent that these are knitting needles, so hopefully that's what I typically do and I've never had an issue. So fingers crossed, that is my plan, so I can have my socks on the go and I can knit on the plane, I can knit on the subway and just quickly pull them out, or maybe knit at a bar. I found, just searching online, planning things out, we plan on going to South Street Seaport, and there is a lounge slash bar slash restaurant on the pier that they had the most delightful combinations for cocktails. And I'm thinking it's right on top of the pier and it's right at the base of the Brooklyn Bridge, and maybe we can stop for an afternoon drink there and I can sit and knit and sip on a lovely cocktail with my 2 best friends. That sounds perfect. That sounds absolutely wonderful. So this is what I plan on casting on and taking with me to New York City when we go in a couple weeks. That is all my knitting plans. I did make a couple sneaky purchases I want to share with you, and one of them is, so for those of you who have watched me for a while know that ChiaoGoo is my go-to. They are my absolute hands down favorite knitting needles. I've tried the higher sharps, and I find with the way I knit, I always put a hole in this finger. I'm not sure why. I haven't tried the regular higher, and I should give them a try, because how can I say what my absolute favorite is if I haven't tried them all? Is that an excuse for me to buy more knitting needles? Maybe. I just threw a whole bunch out. They were all from Michael's, like the Susan Boyle needles. I had a ton of them. And I went through and I cleaned all my knitting needles out and threw all those away. So I've made room, right, for more? Is that the way it works? My husband might disagree with that. Anyways, I wanted some 12-inch circular needles for sleeves. So I picked up 6s, 7s, 8s, and then I specifically went online to pick up the 5s because that's what I'm going to use for my sweater that I'm working on now that I can't pronounce. So I picked up the 5s, and then I have size 4 ones from Addie's, so I'm good there. And then I figured 6, 7s, and 8s to kind of round some of them out, which is ridiculous, but I pick them up from Handsome Fibers, and they're an Etsy store. I'll link them on online. I think they're out in Washington or Oregon, but they always have 10% off, and then on top of that, the shipping is ridiculously fast. So I typically get them within 2 days. There have been times I've gotten them next days. I've ordered them at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and they've shipped by 5 o'clock in the morning my time, which I'm not sure. Do you guys sleep? I don't know if any of the employees there sleep, because what? 5 my time's 2 o'clock on the Pacific Coast? I think I did the math right. They're 3 hours behind, so the shipping is really, really fast. So when I need needles, because the closest local yarn shop to me, which is actually about 20-30 minutes away from where I actually am, they carry ChiaoGoo, but they don't carry all of the ChiaoGoo. They don't have a huge selection. So I pick these up, so I will be ready to knit all the sleeves on all the sweaters this year. We'll see how that goes. Then my other purchase, I got an email from Quince & Co. because I subscribe to their emails on a customer appreciation for the new year, that you could download a free pattern, this free pattern, Vein, and I fell in love with these mittens. And I thought to myself, how wonderful would it be to have a pair of these beautiful mittens for New York? I'm kidding myself. I am not going to finish 2 hats, a sweater, and a pair of mittens for New York. I'm not. But I fell in love with these mittens. So then I'm like, well, I have the pattern. I need some yarn to go with it. So this is knit out of, I can't remember now which, Finch. There we go, because I looked. So I picked up 2 skeins of the Chanterelle by Quince & Co. in the Finch base, and here it is. So it is enough to knit a pair of mittens. It's so soft. It is very bouncy. Bouncy is a good word. It is very, very bouncy. These are 50-gram skeins in 221 yards per skein. I love the cream color these are knit in. but I would have them black in no time. So I figured going with this color will hide all the dirt instead. I figure I can get away with the cream because it's on my head and it shouldn't get as dirty as quickly, hopefully. Anyways, these are the purchases that I have made. I am planning on going to Pearl Soho when we go down to New York, and I do plan on purchasing a sweater quantity of yarn for a sweater. Now, I had originally said I was going to pick up enough of the Brooklyn Tweed quarry. I was blanking for a second. The Brooklyn Tweed quarry for a sweater. I was talking about the bulky easy one, the easy bulky one. I looked it up last week to stick into my podcast because I couldn't remember, and I still can't remember. It's by Hohi Locatelli, and I'll put the name of it back down here on the screen now because, again, I can't remember it. God, 42, and my memory's gone. Who am I kidding? I've never had memory. Anyways, that was my plan. But I really want to knit a sweater in Brooklyn Tweed's Long John color. And Quarry doesn't come in that color. So then I've been searching for sweater patterns to knit out of Shelter in the Long John colorway. I'm thinking the Bray by Jared Flood, but I'm not committed. So here's the thing, I'm not committed in either one of them. So if you guys have any suggestions on patterns or suggestions on patterns and in color color combinations, leave a comment down below, let me know. I'll also put in the Ravelry group, I'll put a post with the show notes, so if you guys want to chit chat with me there too, do that. I am going to be a lot more active on Ravelry now, so I am working full-time at it's not a new job. I'm back at my old job, but I'm working full-time now, but I am able to go onto Ravelry during the day there so I can chit-chat with you guys, and I'll be a lot more active now on Ravelry, so I am looking forward to that. So let me know what you guys think, or if you have any suggestions. Like I said, I know I want to knit a sweater in either Shelter or Quarry. No Loft. I'm enough with fingering weight sweaters right now. I'm finishing up that one. I knit the Tegna this year. I'm almost done my Sunset Highway. I am this close to finishing up a sleeve. And then I have one sleeve and a little bit of the body left. So I really need to pull that out as well and finish that. That's a goal this year, to finish that Sunset Highway. Anyways, now that I've gone off on another tangent, I'm going to stop here and move on to, oh, there was one more thing that kind of is crafty that I wanted to share with you guys. So I have made my first soy candle. So I have gotten a kit, and I'll leave the link below. Lots of Love Company, I think is the name of it. And they sell kits where you can either make 2 soy candles in these ball jars or 4 smaller candles. And they have different choices. I love the way this smells. This is their pomegranate cider scent. And it smells so good. So it came with the wax, the fragrance oil, the wick. I was blanking on that, as well as 2 of the jars, 2 of the wicks, and enough of the fragrance oil and soy to make 2 candles. I've already given one to one of my friends. She had us over for some wine. So my 2 best friends and I went over to my friend's house to talk about New York and plan the trip. So I brought this over, and she did burn it, and it burnt really nicely and evenly and clean. So I'm very happy with this, and I actually jumped right in and I bought more little jars and just like little 4-ounce ones with soy wax and some different fragrances to give a try with some wicks. So I may work on some of that tomorrow, as well as working on my hats and my sweater. Yeah. working on everything. I have no plans tomorrow, so I can sit in my PJs all day and just relax and enjoy it. And that is it for all of the crafting, and it is getting late and my husband and kids should be home soon and I have to make them some dinner. So I am going to call it a day for this podcast, and I will catch up with you guys next week. And this is my goal, is to start podcasting weekly instead of bi-weekly. So fingers crossed that I can accomplish that. So I hope you all have a great week ahead, and I will see you soon. Bye.